Tonight on First at 9, this Thursday the 21st of November 2024. Parliament begins. 10th Parliament convenes for its inaugural session. MP Dr. Ashoka Sapumal Ranawala elected as the Speaker. Sajith Premadasa to continue as opposition leader. Vision for the future. President presents government's policy statement to Parliament. Vows to eradicate racism from politics and sweeping economic reforms. Second in command. 29 deputy ministers of the new government take oaths before the president. Deflation. Sri Lanka's NCPI-based inflation eases further in October.
Chilo Dairy, Sri Lankawama Kiren Perata. Obe Vishwase dinu Sensodyne, then Langamati pharmacy in Labagata hacker.
Kanta parisang karagattot? Api parisang.
Asian Paints Causeway Aquasafe Vesat Mattu Igadarat Disney.
This is Derana First at 9. Live from Studio 24 in Colombo.
Good evening and welcome to Sri Lanka's premier primetime English news bulletin, Derana First at 9. I'm Taridu Mahendra, joining you live with the latest in Sri Lanka and from around the world. In your top story this evening, the inaugural session of the 10th Parliament of the Democratic Socialist Republic of Sri Lanka was held today, presided by President Anura Dissanayake. MP Dr. Ashoka Sapumal Ranawala was elected as the Speaker of the new Parliament, while MP Mohammad Rizvi Salih was elected as the Deputy Speaker. Meanwhile, Sajith Premadasa was re-elected to the role of Opposition Leader. The inaugural session of the 10th Parliament of the Democratic Socialist Republic of Sri Lanka was held today. The newly elected members of Parliament arrived at the parliamentary complex at 9 a.m. to participate in the session. A notable feature of this new parliament is that a majority, 162 legislators, are newcomers to political office. The parliamentary proceedings commenced at 10 a.m. with the ceremonial bringing of the mace into the house by Sergeant-at-Arms Kushan Sampath Jayaratne.
ගරු මන්ත්‍රීවරණි දසවැනි පාර්ලිමේන්තුවට තේරීපත් වූ ඔබතුමන්ලා ඔබතුමියන්ලා සියලු දෙනාම ඉතාම ගෞරවයෙන් මෙම සභාවට පිළිගනු ලබනවා.
Before formal proceedings began, the Speaker of the new Parliament was elected.
පාර්ලිමේන්තුව දැන් කතානායකවරයෙකු ඡන්දයෙන් තෝරාපත් කර ගැනීමෙහි නිරත විය යුතුය. ඒ සඳහා ගරු මන්ත්‍රීවරයෙකුගේ නමක් යෝජනා කරන මෙන් මම ඉල්ලා සිටිමි.
අභිනව දසවැනි පාර්ලිමේන්තුවේ කතානායක ධූරය සඳහා ගරු පාර්ලිමේන්තු මන්ත්‍රී ආචාර්ය අශෝක සපුමල් රංවල සමැතිතුමා සුදුසුයයි මම යෝජනා කරමි.
අභිනව දසවැනි පාර්ලිමේන්තුවේ කතානායක ධූරය සඳහා ගරු පාර්ලිමේන්තු මන්ත්‍රී ආචාර්ය අශෝක සපුමල් රංවල මැතිතුමා සුදුසුයයි ගරු අග්‍රාමාත්‍යතුමින් විසින් කරන ලද යෝජනාව මම ස්ථිර කරමි.
වෙනත් නම් තිබෙනවාද? වෙනත් මන්ත්‍රීවරයෙකු යෝජනා වී නොමැති හේයින් පාර්ලිමේන්තු මන්ත්‍රී ගරු අශෝක සපුමල් රන්වල මහතා දසවැනි පාර්ලිමේන්තුවේ කතානායකවරයා වශයෙන් යථා පරිදි තෝරාපත් කරනු ලැබූ බව මම මෙම සභාවට ප්‍රකාශ කර සිටිමි.
MP Dr. Ashoka Sapumal Ranawala, now elected as Speaker, was escorted to the Speaker's chair by Prime Minister Dr. Harini Amarasuriya and Minister Vijitha Herath. After taking his oath, Speaker Dr. Ranawala administered the oath to the members of Parliament.
ගරු කතානායකතුමනි 10වැනි පාර්ලිමේන්තුවේ කතානායක ධූරය සඳහා ඔබ පත්වීම පිළිබඳව මම සුබ පතන්න කැමැතියි. ඒ වගේම මේ පාර්ලිමේන්තුවේ උත්තරීතර බව රැක ගැනීමටත් පාර්ලිමේන්තුව පිළිබඳව අපේ රටේ පුරවැසියන්ට නැවත වතාවක් විශ්වාසය ඇති කරන තැනක් බවට පත් කිරීම, ජනතාව වෙනුවෙන් පෙනී සිටින තැනක් බවට පත් කිරීමට ඔබට නායකත්වය දිය හැකි බව මම තරයේ විශ්වාස කරමි.
අද දින කතානායකවරයා හැටියට පත්වීම ලැබපු ඔබතුමාට අප සියලු දෙනාගේ සුභාශිංසනය පුද කරනවා. ඔබතුමාට ඔබතුමාගේ වගකීම, ඒ කාර්යභාරය ව්‍යවස්ථානුකූලව, ඒ නියමානුකූල ස්ථාවර නියෝගවලට අනුකූලව ඔබතුමාට ඒ කාර්යභාරය නිශ්චිත කරන්නට හැකියාව ලැබේවා කියලා ප්‍රාර්ථනා කරනවා.
ගරු මන්ත්‍රීවරුනි, අප රටේ උත්තරීතරම ආයතන ලෙස පාර්ලිමේන්තුවේ ස්වාධීනත්වය හා ගෞරවය උපරිම වශයෙන් ආරක්ෂා කරමින් මෙම උත්තරීතර සභාව නියෝජනය කරන ඔබ සියලු දෙනාගේම අයිතිවාසිකම් ආරක්ෂා කරමින් ඒවා රැක දෙමින් මෙම භාරදූර කතානායක ධූරයේ වගකීම මාගේ උපරිම ශක්ති ප්‍රමාණයෙන් අවංකව කාර්යක්ෂම ඉටු කිරීමට මම පොරොන්දු වෙමි.
Subsequently, the Deputy Speaker and Deputy Chairperson of committees were elected. Mohammad Rizvi Sali, who was elected to the Parliament representing the Colombo district, was appointed as Deputy Speaker, while Hemali Veerasekara, who was elected to the Parliament representing the Gampaha district, was appointed Deputy Chairperson of committees. Bimal Ratnayaka was appointed as the Leader of the House and Dr. Nalinda Jayatissa was named Chief Government Whip. The Speaker also formally recognised Sajith Premadasa as the Leader of the Opposition. After completing the initial proceedings of the inaugural session, the House was temporarily adjourned by the Speaker. As seats were not allocated based on seniority, members were given the opportunity to choose any seat. Dr. Archana Ramanathan, the independent member for the Jaffna district, chose to sit in the seat traditionally reserved for the Leader of the Opposition. A parliamentary staff officer approached and informed the MP that this seat was customarily allocated for the Leader of the Opposition. However, MP Ramanathan refused to vacate the seat.
මේක කොහෙර ලියලා තියනවාද මේ විපක්ෂ නායකයට කියලා ලියලා තිබ්බොත් අපි නැගිටිනවා නෑනේ පුටු ගියක් තියනවාද කියලා වාඩි වෙන්න කියන්නේ.
Meanwhile, a reception ceremony was held today at the Sarvajana Balaya's head office to welcome the party's leader MP Dilip Jayavira.
අපි අපේ ආතාමත් කෙටි මේ ගමන තුල ලබාගෙන තියෙන මේ ජයග්‍රහණය සුවිශේෂී ජයග්‍රහණයක්. මේ ජයග්‍රහණයේ අගය දෙගුණ තෙගුණ වෙන්නේ අර ජාතික ලයිස්තු മന്ത്രി ධූර සඳහා අර වෙන සටන දැක්කම.
Horizon Campus 2024 Intake 2. Register now. පිරිපුන් ජීවිතයකට ඔබ සමගින් පෙරට Union Assurance.
Welcome to Cinnamon Life, South Asia's biggest entertainment hub, where awe awaits.
චන්දුරුසුමේ කාගෙන් මන අපේ සිංහ TV සඳහා සුපිරි ඩීල්.
Sadaharita Plantations Limited, celebrating 22 years of your trust.
In Parliament, President Anura Dissanayake vowed that racial rhetoric and religious extremism will not have a place in Sri Lankan politics any longer. Presenting the government's policy statement to Parliament, the head of state emphasised that the mandate granted to the NPP government would be utilised to develop the country while ensuring harmony among all citizens. Speaking further, the President revealed that the staff-level agreement on the third review under the International Monetary Fund's Extended Fund Facility is expected tomorrow. He added that a vote on account will be tabled in Parliament in December ahead of the budget proposal for 2025, which will be presented next February. President Anura Dissanayake arrived at the parliamentary premises around 11:20 am today, shortly after the official commencement of the session. He was welcomed by the newly appointed Speaker of Parliament. The President was then escorted into the House. Subsequently, President Dissanayake presented the government's policy statement to the 10th Parliament.
Today is a special day for Parliament. For decades, political power in the country has been dominated by two main political parties. However, in the past two elections, that power has shifted to a new party. This marks a significant milestone in the country's political history. We have received the mandate to form a majority in the Parliament, which is a significant achievement. However, there is a quality in this mandate that goes beyond that majority itself. For the first time in a long time, all communities from all provinces have contributed to a political change in the country. They have placed their trust in us, and we extend our gratitude to them first and foremost. The government and I are committed to fulfilling the needs of the general public. We are also dedicated to governing this country while maintaining the unity of our people. Despite our different provinces, cultures, languages and religions, this election has shown that we are united in pursuit of a common goal. Therefore, a strong opportunity has arisen to create the national peace that the citizens of this country have long yearned for. We may hold different political opinions, but I assure you that we will not allow racial politics to take hold in this country again. We will also ensure that religious extremism does not rear its head. Our nation has suffered greatly from racial conflicts in the past, and it is our responsibility to prevent such an environment for future generations. While political slogans may focus on economic and democratic issues, I assure you that we will not allow anyone to use racial rhetoric for political gain. When we were handed the responsibility of governing, we were in the opposition. We understood the depth of the economic crisis we faced. Therefore, our main priority upon gaining power was to assure economic stability and restore the confidence of stakeholders. During the presidential election, we stated that we were inheriting a country that had struck an agreement with the International Monetary Fund. We recognized that breaking this agreement would leave us with no way forward. We are well aware that the third review of this program was delayed. It was originally scheduled for September but had to be postponed due to the election. As soon as the general election concluded, the IMF delegation arrived in Sri Lanka on November 17th. We are in discussions with them and we believe we will be able to sign a staff-level agreement with them by Friday. The debt restructuring discussions were in their final stages when we assumed power. There is no point in debating whether these negotiations were good or bad for the country now. This is the reality we face. Accordingly, we have reached a common agreement on bilateral loans and are prepared to formalize individual agreements with those countries. Additionally, we have reached initial agreements with international sovereign bond holders. We believe this process can be completed by the end of December. To overcome the economic crisis, we need a new economic strategy based on three key principles. First, the rapid growth and expansion in goods, services and manufacturing sectors. Secondly, ensuring that the general public is connected to this economy. And third, ensuring that the wealth generated is not concentrated in the hands of a few individuals, as such inequality would not lead to a long-term stability. Our policy focuses on the successful and equitable flow of economic benefits to the general public. We also have a policy regarding market operations. The country's market is relatively small, which can lead to monopolies. Therefore, we plan to strengthen this market and ensure the continuous supply of quality goods and services at fair prices to the public. We have devised several mechanisms to fulfill this responsibility, including promoting competition in certain industries. There are industries that can be controlled by implementing regulatory authorities, while others, especially sensitive and economically important industries, must be operated by the state with shared ownership. This includes sectors such as power and finance. We also aim to organize the market more efficiently. Strengthening cooperatives and establishing them as strong competitors in the market will be part of our plan moving forward. We have identified certain industries that can drive rapid growth in goods and service manufacturing in the short term. First is the tourism sector. We aim to attract 4 million tourists and generate $8 million in revenue within the next 3 to 4 years. Second is the ICT sector. Currently, the country has only 85,000 ICT professionals. We plan to increase this number to 200,000 within the next 5 years and increase export revenue from ICT from 1.2 million to $5 million. With our strategic geographic location, we aim to strengthen Sri Lanka's position as a major naval hub. In terms of the agriculture sector, we aim to increase agriculture exports. Our oceans cover 8 times the size of our landmass, yet we are only using a fraction of this resource. The fisheries industry holds significant potential for economic growth. In the long term, we see vast opportunities here and plan to add value through public-private partnerships. We see science and technology as a pivotal area for economic development. We also expect to achieve a $15 billion digital economy. In December, we intend to propose a vote on account to allocate funds for the next 4 years. The budget proposal will be presented in early February and passed by March. As representatives of the public, we bear the responsibility of creating a better country for all its citizens. The government and I are committed to this goal, and I believe the opposition leaders and MPs will lend their support.
ඒ වගකීම වෙනුවෙන් මමත් අපේ ආණ්ඩුවත් බැඳී සිටිනවා. විපක්ෂයේ සියලුම පක්ෂවල නායකයින් ඒ වගේම මන්ත්‍රීවරුන් සඳහා සහාය දෙවි කියලා මම විශාල බලාපොරොත්තුවක් තිබෙනවා.
Following the President's address, Parliament was adjourned until 9:30 am on the 3rd of December. Subsequently, a traditional tea party was held for the members of Parliament. This year's reception is particularly significant as it marks the first time in recent history that MPs from all parties in Parliament have participated in the ceremony. The Speaker, Prime Minister, Leader of the Opposition and Members of Parliament attended the ceremony alongside diplomats and ministry secretaries.
Fast-track your career from O-levels with eSoft.
After O-levels, start your Australian university degree in just 8 months with ACBT's Foundation Program. Enrollments close on 21st October. Call 071 115 1234 for Colombo or 077 011 3223 for Kandy.
ඩයිබිටිසෝල් සීනිවලින් පරිස්සම්වන ඔබට අමතක නොවන පෝෂණය.
ප්‍රයිම් ගෲප් ලංකාවේ ප්‍රථම වතාවට හඳුන්වා දෙන ලෑන්ඩ් ලීසින් ලේසියෙන් මීටමක්.
Single 1111 up to 60% off from the 11th November to the 17th of November.
Kalani wire කිසිගින්නක් නෑ.
කිසිගින්නක් නෑ. Kalani Fire Shield Wire.
Despite the inauguration of the 10th Parliament today, 4 of Samagi Jana Balavega's nationalist seats in the legislature and another of the New Democratic Front remain vacant. However, it has been reported that the New Democratic Front will nominate former Minister Kanchana Wijesekara for the party's remaining nationalist seat. Following the recent general election, the New Democratic Front obtained 2 nationalist seats in Parliament, while the Samagi Jana Balawege secured 5. At the moment, the New Democratic Front has named former MP Ravi Karunanayake for one of the party's nationalist seats, while Samagi Jana Balawege has nominated the party's General Secretary Ranjit Manduma Bandara for one of its nationalist seats. However, both parties have been unable to name candidates for the remaining seats due to internal disputes regarding the nomination process for the national list. Against this backdrop, political sources say that former Minister Kanchana Wijesekara is tipped to be nominated for the remaining nationalist seat of the New Democratic Front. Additionally, it was reported that Samagi Jana Balawege is holding discussions to select 4 candidates for the remaining nationalist seats of the party from among Dallas Salaha Peruma, Imtiaz Bakir Makar, Sujiva Senasinghe, Eran Vikramaratne, Tissa Attanayaka and Mano Ganesan. In the meantime, the parliamentary group of the Samagi Jana Balawege convened a meeting at the party's headquarters in Pitakota yesterday for the first time since being elected to office, during which the party's national list was taken for discussion.
ඊට වඩා සතුටින් එළියට ඇවිල්ලා බොහොම හිනාම වුණක් පේනවා. ලයිස්තු මන්ත්‍රීකමක් හම් වුණාද?
පහෙන් එකක් කාන්දාවට දෙනවා නම් ඉතින් මං ඇරෙන්න කවුරු සුදුසු?
ඒ කියන්නේ හම්බ වෙයිද?
බලමු ඉතින් ඉස්සරහට.
ලයිස්තුවේ මන්ත්‍රීවරු 5 දෙනාම පත් කළා දාවේ.
නෑ එක්කෙනෙක්ගේ නම ඇව්වා. අනිත් 4 හිටානිද්දා අපි යවනවා.
ඒ කියන්නේ ඔබතුමා විතරද යන්නේ?
ඉස්සෙල්ලා මගේ නම ඇරියා කිසි ප්‍රශ්නයක් නැති එකක් නේ.
අනිත් කට්ටිය ප්‍රශ්නද එතකොට?
ඉල්ලුම වැඩි සැපෙවුම ටිකයි නේ තියෙන්නේ. තෝරා ගැනීම ටිකක් අමාරු මේකයි.
දැන් රවිත් කරේ වගේ වැඩක්.
රවි කරේ තනියෙන් මං කරේ පක්ෂයන් මැති ඇතුව.
පක්ෂ ප්‍රතිපත්තියක් තියෙනවනේ උනාට පෙරදුන අයට දෙන්නේ නැහැ කියලා.
පක්ෂ ප්‍රතිපත්ති ගැන ඔයගොල්ලෝ කොහොමද දන්නේ?
ඒකට පෙරදුන කට්ටියට දෙනවා කියන එකද කියන්නේ?
තීන්දුවක් ගන්න එක ගැන හදිසි වෙන්න ඕනේ නැහැ. අපි ගන්න තීන්දුව විශ්ිය. ඒක පක්ෂයට ඉඩ කඩ දෙන්න.
එතකොට හිරුණිකා මන්ත්‍රීතුමියක් කිව්වා එතුමිය ඉන්න ඕන පාර්ලිමේන්තුවේ සුදුසුයි කියලා.
ඔව් හිරුණිකා මන්ත්‍රීතුමිය ඉන්න එක මම කියන සුදුසුයි කියලා පාර්ලිමේන්තුවේ ඉන්න එක.
ඒ කියන්නේ ඔය 5ට 35ක් විතර ඉල්ලනවාද?
ඊට වැඩි ඉන්නවා. 29 දෙනෙක් ලයිස්තුවේ ඉන්නවා.
පෙරදුනයත් ඔක්කොම
පෙරදුනයත් ඉල්ලනවා.
ලයිස්තුව පත් කරද්දී වැඩිම ප්‍රශ්නයක සහගතව මුහුණ දෙන නායකයා ඔබ නේද?
ඇයි එහෙම හිතන්නේ?
5 දෙනෙක් පත් කරගන්න 25 දෙනෙක් විතර ඉල්ලනවා නේද?
නෑ එහෙම ප්‍රශ්න සහගතයි කියලා මම කියන්නේ නැහැ. අපි අවබෝධයෙන් අපේ තීන්දුව తీරන ගන්නවා. ඔබතුමා හොද මේ ඇයි මාස 11ක් ගත වුණේ කියලා එක්සත් ජාතික පක්ෂයට තමන්ගේ පුද්ගලයා පත් කරගන්න. මොකද ඔබතුමා ඒක ගැන කියන්නේ? මාස 11ක් ගත වුණා.
රාජ්‍ය වෙන අයට ජාතික ලැයිස්තුවේ මන්ත්‍රී දුර දෙන්නේ නැහැ කියලා ඔබතුමා ප්‍රකාශයක් කරා.
නෑ එහෙම කරලා නෑ. එහෙම කරලා නැහැ. නමුත් අපි සාකච්ඡා කරමින් පවතිනවා කරන වැඩ පිළිවෙල පිළිබඳව.
Meanwhile, President Anura Dissanayake appointed the new government's deputy ministers today. Accordingly, 29 new deputy ministers were sworn in before the president at the presidential secretariat. Professor Anil Jayantha Fernando was sworn in as the Deputy Minister of Economic Development. Namal Karunaratne was appointed as the Deputy Minister of Agriculture and Livestock, while Vasantha Petisa was appointed as the Deputy Minister of Rural Development, Social Security and Community Empowerment. Nalin Hevage was appointed as the Deputy Minister of Vocational Education, and R.M. Jayawardena was assigned the role of Deputy Minister of Trade, Commerce and Food Security. Gamagedara Dissanayake was sworn in as the Deputy Minister of Buddha Sasana, Religious and Cultural Affairs. T.B. Sarath was sworn in as the Deputy Minister of Housing, and Ratna Gamage was sworn in as the Deputy Minister of Fisheries, Aquatic and Ocean Resources. Mahinda Jayasinghe was sworn in as the Deputy Minister of Labour, while Aruna Jayasekara took oath as the Deputy Minister of Defence. Arun Hemachandra was appointed as the Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Employment, and Anton Jaikodi was sworn in as the Deputy Minister of Environment. Mohammed Munir was appointed as the Deputy Minister of National Integrity. Eranga Weeraratne was sworn in as the Deputy Minister of Digital Economy, Eranga Gunasekara as the Deputy Minister of Youth Affairs and Chaturanga Besingha as the Deputy Minister of Industry and Entrepreneurship Development. Janit Ruwankodituakku was sworn in as the Deputy Minister of Ports and Civil Aviation. Dr. Namal Sudarshana was appointed as the Deputy Minister of Women and Child Affairs and Ruwan Senarath as the Deputy Minister of Provincial Councils and Local Governance, taking oath before the President. Dr. Prasanna Kumara Gunasena was appointed as the Deputy Minister of Transport and Highways and Dr. Hansaka Vijayamuni was appointed as the Deputy Minister of Health and Mass Media. Additionally, Upali Samarasinghe was appointed as the Deputy Minister of Cooperative Development. Ruwan Chamindaranasinghe was appointed as the Deputy Minister of Tourism and Sugat Tilakaratne as the Deputy Minister of Sports. Sundaralingam Pradeep was appointed as the Deputy Minister of Plantations and Community Infrastructure, while Sunil Watagala was appointed as the Deputy Minister of Public Security and Parliamentary Affairs. Madhura Senaviratne was appointed as the Deputy Minister of Education and Higher Education. Dr. Harshana Surya Peruma was sworn in as the Deputy Minister of Finance and Planning and Dr. Susil Ranasinghe was sworn in as the Deputy Minister of Lands and Irrigation. Meanwhile, former ministers of the previous administration, Dr. Ramesh Patirana, Prasanna Ranatunga and Roshan Ranasinghe, appeared before the Criminal Investigation Department today to record statements regarding the approval granted to the cabinet paper submitted by former Health Minister Keheliya Rambukwala, which resulted in the importation of substandard human immunoglobulin. Meanwhile, former Minister Harin Fernando is scheduled to appear before the CID tomorrow to record a statement regarding the matter. The Criminal Investigation Department informed the Maliga Kanda Magistrates Court on the 11th of this month that the department will record statements from cabinet ministers of the previous government, including former President Ranil Wickremesinghe, regarding the approval of the cabinet paper presented by former Health Minister Keheliya Rambukwala, which resulted in the importation of substandard human immunoglobulin. During the hearing, Deputy Solicitor General Lakmini Girihagama stated that there were 18 cabinet members when the former Health Minister forwarded the cabinet paper on the 26th of September 2022 to buy 182 types of medicines under the Indian loan scheme, claiming a shortage of medicines. The Deputy Solicitor General further stated that these statements must be recorded on how the cabinet granted the approval without ascertaining whether there was an actual medicine shortage, as the presented cabinet paper had not mentioned the medicines that are required to be imported. Accordingly, the CID had informed former ministers Ramesh Patirana, Roshan Ranasinghe, Prasanna Ranatunga and Harin Fernando to appear before the department today to record statements regarding the matter. Accordingly, former ministers Ramesh Patirana, Prasanna Ranatunga and Roshan Ranasinghe arrived at the CID today to record statements for around 3 hours.
අධිකරණයේ නඩුවක් දැනට විභාග වෙනවනේ මේ සම්බන්ධයෙන් කරන පරීක්ෂණ පිළිබඳ අපිට සම්පූර්ණ සහයෝගය ලබා දෙන්න පුළුවන්.
කැබිනට් මණ්ඩලයට කැබිනට් පත්‍රිකාවල් යොමු කරන ක්‍රමවේදයක් තියෙනවා. ඉතින් ඒ ක්‍රමවේදය අනුගමනය කරලා තියෙන බව අපි පැහැදිලිව කිව්වා.
ඇමතිවරයා ලිඛිතව මේක ලියලා තියෙනවා වෛද්‍ය සැපීම් අංශය තුල ඖෂධ වර්ග 182ක් මසක අවශ්‍යතාවයට වඩා අඩු මට්ටමක පවතී. තවද ඖෂධ වර්ග 17ක් දැන්ටමත් ශුන්‍ය වී ඇත. ඒක කැබිනට් මණ්ඩලයට ඉදිරිපත් කරලා තියෙන තොරතුරු මත පදනම් වෙලා විශ්වාස කරනවා.
ඒ විශ්වාසය කෙහෙලිය රමුක්කල් අමත්තුතුමා කඩ කරලා කියන්නේ.
කැබිනට් මණ්ඩලයට ඔහු එවලා තියෙන එකට අනුව තමයි අපි කටයුතු කරලා තියෙන්නේ. එතකොට එතනින් පල්ලෙහා යාන්ත්‍රණයක් අමාත්‍යාංශය තුල ඉන්නවා. මේ කියපු තොරතුරු වල ප්‍රශ්නයක් තියෙනවා නම් ඒක අමාත්‍යාංශය වගේ කියන්න.
Meanwhile, it is reported that former Minister Harin Fernando will appear before the Criminal Investigation Department tomorrow to record his statement regarding the matter. Welcome back. The overall rate of inflation as measured by the National Consumer Price Index decreased to negative 0.7% in October 2024 in comparison with negative 0.2% recorded in September this year. Data from the Statistics Office showed that food inflation increased to 1.3% in October from 0.5% in September this year. Year-on-year inflation of the non-food group meanwhile decreased to negative 2.3% in October from negative 0.7% in the previous month. A decrease of 0.16% in food items and of 0.35% in non-food items contributed to the month-on-month change. The Colombo Bourse, meanwhile, closed in negative territory today, once again as a result of price losses in counters such as John Keel's Holdings, Commercial Bank and Sampath Bank. The broader all-share price index closed 1% lower at 12,962.10 points, while the S&P SL20 fell by 1.49% to close at 3,860.92 points. The market turnover crossed 7 billion rupees. The banking sector was the top contributor to the market turnover, followed by the capital goods sector. Foreign investors closed as net sellers of floating shares worth 211 million rupees. And with that, let's take a look at the rupee exchange rate for the day. And now here's a look at corporate news in brief. The Securities and Exchange Commission signed revised memoranda of understanding with the Eastern University of Sri Lanka and the Southeastern University of Sri Lanka recently to assist the educational and career aspirations of undergraduates. The updated MOUs aim to offer benefits to undergraduates recognizing academic excellence in capital market related subjects and opportunities for enhanced industry knowledge and career development within the capital market and the SEC through internships. Meanwhile, Sri Lankan fabric manufacturer TJ Lanka plc announced that the company will expand its business operations in Egypt under a new entity to engage in manufacturing fabric, manufacturing services and trading activities. Earlier this month, TJ Lanka said there was a significant shift of orders to the Asian region due to the China Plus One strategy. The company's net profits for the September 2024 quarter fell 20% to 756 million rupees, despite the firm getting more orders from China Plus One strategy of companies. In other corporate news, SoftLogic Life enhanced its annual report analyzer by embedding features such as its voice-enabled artificial intelligence and machine learning-based AI agent Lifey and automatic visual interpretation of data. Accordingly, SoftLogic Life is the first company in Sri Lanka to integrate AI capabilities into annual report analysis. This initiative offers stakeholders a faster, simpler and more efficient means of accessing critical information. And with that, we wrap up tonight's edition of First at 9. Thank you for joining and have a good night.